City and England goalkeeper Karen Barnsley.
Ellen White.
Jill Scott has decided to retire.
De Bruyne, what a pass! What a pass it was! And there's the finish! An assist from the heavens.
The ball in, and Haaland! His first City goal at the Etihad Stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, Haaland has his first City match ball. It will not be his last.
He's an exceptional player. It's not necessary to tell you, everybody knows it.
And Haaland has his second hat-trick in the space of 4 days.
Julian Alvarez celebrates his first ever Premier League goal. What a ball that is by Cancelo! By Haaland! Sometimes you cannot believe your eyes. It's Manchester Derby, number 188. 3 Premier League home games in a row, 3 hat-tricks. And Foden's got a hat-trick too. And that's Phil Foden's first ever hat-trick for Manchester City.
Pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, Manchester City, the club of the year.
Brilliant from Khadija Banishaw.
On it goes towards Rico Lewis! It's a green night! His first ever start for City, and he scored a goal as well. Erling Haaland!
Pep Guardiola has signed a new contract at the club.
I love my job. I cannot be in better place right now.
An historic day for City women. A crowd in excess of 44,000. Coombs, yes! And City are level. A wonderful advert for the WSL. So have you missed it? Of course you have. 46 days without the Blues in Premier League action. That said, we've seen 16 City players in action in Qatar.
We have a world champion in our team.
And thoroughly enjoyed a quite breathtaking Carabao Cup win over Liverpool. But tonight at Ellen Road, it feels a little bit more like the return of domestic action. Grealish, Haaland, 3-0. Erling Haaland moves on to 20 Premier League goals for City.
2022 comes to a close for Manchester City this afternoon. A spoiled the share between Manchester City and Everton on New Year's Eve.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to Matchday Live. Thank you so much for joining us this evening as City take on Chelsea in the Premier League. And of course, we'll be looking to get back to winning ways straight away after the weekend's draw at home to Everton. Now, last season, we did the Premier League double over Chelsea. Now, we've only won once 3 games in a row against Chelsea, and that was December 2009 to September 2010. Let's hope we can do that again this evening. Now, City have won 7 of their last 10 Premier League games against Chelsea, and that's as many as they had in the previous 25. As you can see, the players are arriving now at Stamford Bridge, and we will be bringing you the team news as soon as we are allowed. But first, let me introduce our wonderful guests for this evening. We have 2 of our ever popular regulars on the show, backed by popular demand, as always. Of course, it is David James and Shaun Gota. And joining us tonight, we have a very special guest. I've got to tell you, that sofa over there is pretty much the nicest, most positive, optimistic sofa we've ever had. We're absolutely thrilled to be joined tonight by our former goalkeeper and City in the Community ambassador, Alex Williams.
Thanks, Natalie. Great to be here.
Alex, thank you for joining us this evening. We're thrilled that you're here.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Great for me. Looking forward to the show and to be with 2 legends of Manchester City, and David James and Alex. Oh, sorry, it's Shaun Gota.
Yeah.
We keep getting mixed up on a match day.
It's all right, Shaun.
Well, Shaun, how are you? I mean, you've got the goalkeepers union here tonight, so you're a bit outnumbered.
I am outnumbered, and I'll pick my battles.
Well, we can now give you that all-important team news ahead of tonight's 8 p.m. kickoff in the Premier League against Chelsea. And I can tell you that there are 4 changes in the City lineup from that team that drew with Everton at the weekend. So it is Ederson in goal. And then it is coming back into the starting 11, Walker, Stones, Ake, a return for Joao Cancelo, Rodri, Gundogan, who is of course captain, De Bruyne, Silva, Haaland, and a return as well for Phil Foden. Your substitutes this evening: Ortega, Phillips, Grealish, Alvarez, Gomez, Akanji, Mahrez, Palmer, and Rico Lewis. So that is your City team, your City starting 11 and subs bench for tonight's game. So 4 changes from the team that drew against Everton. I'll get our wonderful guests' thoughts on that team news now. David, 4 changes. What was your instant reaction to those changes?
Well, first of all, Rico Lewis not being in there. I thought, because he's been playing so well, but understandably, the way that Pep usually does his thing, he does make changes. My first reaction, if I could be selfish, is that my 3 fantasy league players are still in the team.
Oh, he's always thinking about his fantasy.
No, I think the Everton game, I think, needed changes. It wasn't the performance that we expected from City, and they need a win. We need a win tonight. The players that are coming in are logical in the sense of Walker, especially, who obviously from the World Cup, Cancelo from the World Cup. Everyone's from the World Cup, so yeah, it was expected in a lot of ways.
Yeah, Rico Lewis has played fantastically in those last 3 games, I thought, Shaun. What an incredible way to kind of stamp your mark on the game. But like David says, bringing Kyle Walker and Joao Cancelo back, since they've both been at the World Cup, I think many of us were kind of expecting it and hoping it as well.
Yes, I mean, Rico Lewis has done superbly well. What I like is, you're looking at him when he goes inside, how he's able to handle the ball, his ability to have the awareness around in those little pockets of space. But again, with Walker and Cancelo, they're almost like competing to be the best fullbacks, in the world essentially. So I always felt that they were going to come in, and I think it was Pep that said, he said something to do. We need Walker, but it was a little bit stronger. It was like, if we're going to go do anything, we need Walker, and I'm pleased to see Walker back. And my thinking is, we never think that Pep thinks ahead, but I always thought, with us playing Chelsea, he'll be thinking, Sterling will potentially be on that left-hand side. I need someone that's going to match that pace, that understands him, or knows his game, and I need him to just snuff him out. So I always felt that Walker will come in this game. So pleased with that.
I will give you the full Chelsea team news a little bit later, but just as a heads up, Raheem Sterling does start for Chelsea this evening. In terms of Kyle Walker and Joao Cancelo coming back into that back 4, Alex, are you happy with that?
Yeah, I think there was no surprise really from me. I mean, Pep was always going to change it. What I think was interesting is if the game, the 0-0 for Arsenal, had any bearing on the team today. But, you look at Sterling and Pulisic, you've got to have somebody with power and pace to compete with them. And, you've got that in abundance with Walker.
In terms of looking at that sort of start forward 3, David, mentioning Erling Haaland just gives me an opportunity so that we can have a look at his goal again from the Everton game, as I'm always happy to do. It feels inevitable at the minute that Haaland keeps scoring. In the Everton game, he seemed to be particularly pumped up. What did you make of that?
Yeah, well, it was an interesting one because Shaun and myself were doing the game, and there was an incident right at the beginning of the game. I can't remember who it was. Was it Godfrey? With Godfrey,
yeah.
Which I think Erling thought was a foul. I don't think it was a foul myself. And from that moment, he was on it. When he scored the goal, he was on it. But then he was still on it when he got the booking. And I think in a lot of ways, there's a lot of bookings in that first half. Typical Haaland goal, isn't it? Cut him, just like slight movement out. But the bookings, I think, in that first half actually affected the way that Man City could attack the second half. Because I think it was 3 or 4 players who were booked in that first half. It was defensively a bad goal from Everton's point of view. You can see, I think, Conor Cody running onto the line behind Jordan Pickford here. Had he stayed in the right position, I don't think Haaland would have scored. And if we remember the rest of the game, it wasn't the best performance. So Haaland scoring was great, and forgive me for continuing. What City needs to do, and I think one of the changes with Foden starting, is other people to help out. Phil Foden's on 7 goals this season. 5 of them are in the first half, which basically means that if Phil Foden doesn't start the first half, then his goal scoring capabilities are considerably reduced. And I think we need more players to be scoring goals rather than solely relying on Erling Haaland.
I love your stats. I love the research that you do. It comes out with some cracking stats, doesn't he, Shaun?
He does, and we love it. I mean, that was one of the reasons that, you know, when we just got a whiff of the team, I sort of jumped with Foden because I was just like, Foden for me is a player that really affects games, you know, in terms of assisting or scoring, and I'm really pleased. You know, I'm pleased that he's starting. Because that's the interesting one. Because I wondered if he'd be on the right hand side, but more likely he'd end up being on the left. But I'm sure we may get into it in regards to because Cucurella was a player that I'm not sure if he started or not, but he was a player that Pep was interested in. So I'm intrigued to see. I think it may be Bernardo that plays on his side, and you know, for me, it tells me that he wants to keep the ball because Bernardo Silva is excellent at keeping the ball. Perhaps drawing them across to then create the advantage over the other side where Foden can take advantage in one-on-one situations and putting those balls across. So it's really interesting to see how we'll go about it tonight. Yeah,
Cucurella does start for Chelsea as well, Shaun. So yes, that is interesting. In terms of that front three, Alex, Bernardo Silva playing tonight. Looking at that team, it looks like he's going to be out on one of the wings. Do you have a preference for where you like Bernardo Silva, more centrally or perhaps out on the left?
I think he's quite effective on the right. Well,
wherever.
Right side, I think as well, or down the centre. But coming back to the Haaland and Foden thing, I think those two have really sort of got a fantastic relationship, and you can see when either one of them scores, they come together and they're really good friends. So
the bromance going on there.
Well, yeah, there is. But I think you need that in the team, and I think those two, they've really hit it off. And I know when Haaland came here, one of the things he was looking forward to was, as well as Kevin De Bruyne, was playing with Foden. And I think Foden's learning so much from Haaland, and he knows if he just gets the ball in there. I mean, just looking at some of the clips of Haaland's goals, his limbs are so long, he gets to things that people would actually give up. You know, you look at some of the goals he scored, you think, how's he got to that? You know, he's an athlete as well as many other things.
Is there something in that, Shaun, when players get on especially well off the pitch? Does it make them a better team on the pitch?
It does, in a weird way, because when you have that relationship, obviously you trust all your teammates, but when you do, sometimes you just naturally, it's one or two players that you get on just battle with. I mean, my time, I used to room with Jared Vickers. I mean, a centre half. He was a centre half, but we just got on. So whenever we were in and around each other on the pitch, it's almost like telepathically we knew what each other, you know, was going to do or what we had to say to get the job done. And I think it does, you know, with Haaland coming, I think you've got Foden that is a quality player. De Bruyne is probably top of the list because De Bruyne is like, well, if there's a bromance, I think he wants to be a bromance with me because I'm finding him all the time. And Grealish is also, I think we're seeing Grealish set him up with the odd goals here and there. So, but I'm pleased that Foden started because again, Foden assists goals, contributes. So, and I think there is somewhat a relationship there, and you see sometimes it's like without talking, it's just I know where he is. I've had to touch out my feet. I just pull it and he's there. It's non-communicative, and that's how they communicate.
We know that you're happy that Foden's starting as well.
Yeah. Can I just add to that?
Yes.
I would love to see them training, because what you find when you've got friendships, they usually navigate around each other in a training field. So I can imagine Haaland and Foden just messing around with the ball. So when they're actually in the game, they know their body language and everything. And that's why they, like you're talking about this non-communicative communicating when language-wise, you just say, oh, he's going to do that and I'm ready.
We do actually put up training videos on our YouTube channel every week.
The whole session, the warm-up. I think the warm-up.
Well, yeah, probably not the whole session.
Yeah, but it's just that thing. And I mean, that's what we want to see in Foden. I mean, I love Phil Foden, so
you do.
I'm happy.
Yes. I want to have a go and have another look at that. The defensive changes. So obviously, we've discussed the fact that Walker and Cancelo have come back in. The entire kind of back four will be changing, though. So from Nathan Ake playing out on the left in the Everton game, expecting to be playing as a centre back tonight. In terms of that goal that Everton scored against us. and those defensive changes. Do you think there's anything in the way that we conceded that goal?
Possibly, although if I remember rightly, it was Rodri slipping and giving the ball away. I mean, the concern I had with the goal was, and it was, I think, Akanji running back, as we see it here. Akanji kind of stops and then a little touch to the right, and the fact that Demarai Gray was able to slip over and still get the shot off was really frustrating, that there wasn't anyone close enough. And possibly again, I mean, the one thing about, I have to mention the World Cup, one thing about the World Cup is there's an assumption that everyone's the same, and the same kind of time period after the last game will bring players back at the same pace. Akanji was in the World Cup, and possibly he hasn't adjusted. I mean, yeah, it's a great finish, but a sloppy goal.
I'm going to come to Akanji's defence just here, only because the overlap, and that's why he goes. There's the lad that overlaps him, and then he tracks it. And the other thing is, Rico Lewis is actually marking his man. We just can't see it on that particular picture there, but Rico Lewis is actually with his man and realises, oh, I'm close, so I need to go. And that fraction of a second, he can't get there. I'm not saying it's his fault. I just think it's a number of things. The overlap takes Akanji, and then therefore there's no one really within that distance that you're talking about, David, there, in terms of being able to get close enough to get a block in. And I think it's a goal that, I mean, I don't even think you two will save it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, actually, I mean, we're looking at ways possibly
how we get him out of the room, please?
OK, you may have saved it. You two may have saved it.
Yeah, well, we're looking at ways you could possibly have stopped that, but sometimes on the odd occasion, you've got to give a little bit of credit to the striker. It was a tremendous finish. I think we'd have got close to it, David.
Yeah, the finish was great. I mean, just extending that, Natalie. I mean, there's been 3 games since the World Cup and no clean sheets.
Ooh.
This is a team, Man City, who you would have a nailed-on Golden Glove winner at the end of the season, and they're conceding goals. So somewhere Pep has to look at it and go, why are we conceding goals? Think about the Leeds goal. It's 3-0, corner, header, 3-1. There's another
clean
goal.
sheet tonight?
Yeah, as long as John Stones scores 3. Oh, I've given away my fantasy.
You've got your fantasy head on again.
I think, and this is the thing, certain teams you look at, and Man City have always been one of those teams under Pep that you think this should be a clean sheet. It doesn't matter who the opposition is, and occasionally a goal goes in. But the fact that there's been 3 games, including that Liverpool game, of course, where goals have been conceded, you have to look at what is wrong here, and how can we improve it. So,
I think you make a brilliant point there, David. I think Pep on tonight's game, I think we'll take a 1-0 win with keeping them at arm's length, meaning look through the game and go, well, actually, we're never really in trouble. I think he would accept that, because those clean sheets, how it gives the confidence throughout the team. So I think he'll be looking to have a clean sheet.
Shaun, I would absolutely snap your hand off right now for a 1-0 victory tonight, please. That would be absolutely lovely. So that is the City team news for this evening. 4 changes from that team that drew against Everton. Of course, you can see the team there on your screen. Now, please do, as always, send in your wonderful WhatsApp questions. The number is on your screen now. I love your WhatsApp questions. You always ask really original, imaginative questions. So get them in, especially for Alex, of course, who's the first time on the show this evening. So any questions for any of our guests, get those in, and I will get through as many of those WhatsApp questions as I can a little bit later on. Right, we have sort of teased a little bit, telling you that Sterling and Cucurella are both in the Chelsea team this evening. Well, let's have a look now at the full Chelsea starting 11. So, in goal, it is Kepa. And then it is Azpilicueta, Koulibaly, Silva, Cucurella, Kovacic, Zakaria, Ziyech, Sterling, Pulisic and Havertz. That is your Chelsea starting 11 for tonight's game. So Raheem Sterling does start tonight. And as Shaun mentioned a little bit earlier, Cucurella, of course, who City were rumoured to be in for in the summer, starts as well. So the big talking point, of course, will be Raheem Sterling playing against, of course, us, his former club, where he had such an incredible, successful time. Shaun, how do you feel about Raheem Sterling playing tonight for Chelsea? Are you expecting that he's going to go out there and really want to sort of have a great game and really show us all?
Yes, he is. He's going to want to. And, you know, I was thinking about it earlier in terms of his record against former club in terms of Liverpool. I don't think he had the best record. I think it was a period where he struggled to score against Liverpool. And in the end, he ended up scoring. And I'm hoping, you know, we become also that team where we become that, you know, it's difficult for him to score, because the one thing Sterling offers is a threat. He's a good finisher. And we need to keep our eye on him. And I think he'll be so up for this, to want to prove that perhaps, you know, in his own mind, that he's made the right decision by leaving City, etc. But Sterling was an absolute brilliant player for us, an asset, and we need to keep him quiet.
He still remains the most used player under Pep. And obviously some phenomenal goals that he scored for us as well, Alex. Some phenomenal last-minute winners, some goals in really important games. He was, when he was with us, such an important player.
Yeah, he was brilliant here at Manchester City, and I think what he really brought to us towards the latter end of games, you know, he was very, very fit, and his pace. And, you know, a lot of the teams, they'd get tired towards that 80-minute mark. So I don't know what the stats are, but I would suspect a lot of his goals came in the last 15 minutes of matches. I mean, you know, some of the goals he scored for us and games he won were absolutely brilliant. I think tonight's going to be very interesting. I'm curious to see how he does. I think he'll either sink or swim. He'll either be brilliant or he'll do absolutely nothing, and let's hope potentially for us it's the latter.
Oh, Alex, I love you. You're a brilliant guest. No sitting on the fence there, Alex. I love that. David, he has had a bit of a difficult time at his start at Chelsea. In his press conference this week, Graham Potter mentioned him specifically, and he said it's been a challenge for him, but it's been a challenging period for everybody. There's been a lot of change and a lot has happened. So in that regard, it's not easy to completely settle or hit the ground. There is more to come from Raheem, I'm sure, but he gives his best every day, and we need to help him get to the level that we know he can reach.
Interesting.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, but I think Raheem Sterling at the end of his career will be one of those players that everyone will look back on and go, wow, is that what he actually did? Because he never gets the positive press for the success that he's had. Even with City, I remember doing one of these shows, and I think it was his 100th goal or something. It was like, wow, I didn't realise he'd scored so many goals. Yeah. And it was like, as you said, Pep's most used player in many, many successful seasons. So I think Chelsea is just a continuation of that. At his best, he can cause problems.
So how do we silence him this evening?
Well, Cancelo and Kyle Walker. I mean, again, you're talking about the changes. I mean, you've got true pace, and I think what Shaun said was a great point. When you've got Kyle Walker, who knows Raheem Sterling, that body language thing, he trained against him so many times, he'll be going, I kind of know what you're going to do now. Hope, as long as Kyle's on his mettle, he'll just be like, go on, do it, I'm ready.
So with that said, because some of these managers, they get these games and they try to outsmart each other. Do you think there's any chance Raheem will play up the middle?
Possibly, but the thing is, the whole team, I'm just trying to look through that starting lineup, everyone knows him.
Yeah.
So you can't, I mean, it's not that you can, even if you know them, it doesn't mean you can stop them, but you've got a better chance if you know them. So Rico Lewis would have known him, of course, in some capacity, but on a day-to-day over a period of years, Kyle Walker and Cancelo just go on and do it. And yeah, I mean, I'm selling the win here for City on the basis that you keep Raheem Sterling quiet, Pulisic, who can be a handful. Again, pace-wise, we can match them.
I won't put you on the spot, David. You're the manager of Chelsea. Where do you play Raheem Sterling?
Well, the interesting thing here is...
three positions.
Yeah, it's three positions. But if you think about...
Right, left, middle.
Think about the success of Chelsea, especially when they won the Champions League, and the success of City pre-Haaland, it was the same. You didn't know who was going to be where. Mm-hmm. And that Chelsea lineup is looking more like the unpredictable lineup, which means that he can play in every position. So where do I put him?
Folks.
Where do I put him? I just say, look, you three just go and cause mayhem.
Shaun, ask Alex, because I feel like he'll give you a straight answer.
I think David's sitting on the fence.
Thank you.
I really do. I mean, I personally think they'll rotate throughout the game. Because,
that's my point. You don't put him in one position.
They're going to rotate around the game. Yeah. But I think the team that defends the best tonight, I know it's an obvious statement, will win, because you look at the firepower of both teams. And even though Chelsea are having a blip at the moment, they've got some quality up there. And I think, looking at our defenders tonight, if they play as well as they can do, that should be strong enough to win the battle. And hopefully we'll
Yeah,
win.
if I was Graham Potter, I'd be saying maybe Raheem needs to do some running defending because Koulibaly and Thiago Silva will not be able to handle Haaland's pace. Yeah. Then he'll be in a fourth position.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah, because they are going through a difficult period right now, Alex. Chelsea. They've won just one Premier League game in their last 6.
Yeah, they're going through a transition with the new manager, and it's always difficult for teams. You know, and we were just discussing earlier. You know, you lose one game and then you lose another game, and it does get in the players' heads. It'll be very interesting how Chelsea see the game tonight, because I personally think we're strong favourites to go there and win tonight. But you know, does that mean it takes the pressure off them sometimes, not being the favourites at home? I don't know. It's going to be a really interesting game and one I'm looking forward to.
With form like that, this is the sort of game that they could rise to.
Yeah.
Not having this great record in recent, half a dozen games. This is the game where they go, we're playing Man City. Yeah. You just look to your right, look to your left. You say, we show up tonight. Yeah. Because they have quality players. So let's hope that they don't show up, but they do have their quality.
Yeah.
I think, sorry, I think there's a fragility. I was looking through Chelsea's form. Where City have dropped points this season in the league, their following league game they've won. Where Chelsea have dropped points, the following game they've dropped further points.
What does that tell you?
Over half a season, psychologically, for some reason they go, we've dropped points and we're not in a good place going into the next game. Obviously Chelsea drew their last game 1-1, so in a way they've got to do something completely different this time in order to win. But it just falls nicely in the hands for City to go, let's just do what we normally do, get 3 points.
I like that. That's interesting, because I do feel like when we have a result that we're perhaps a little bit disappointed at, that we often come back in the next game angry.
And score 3 goals.
Yes, with a point to prove, which I think is representative of our mentality.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that is representative of Chelsea's, which perhaps is why it's not.
It's just, I was talking to the guy before the show, and it's whether you just go, it's the Premier League again, and the last Premier League game we drew. If it's Champions League after Premier League, they go and win because it's different competition. It's just the psychology is wonderful.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. And thank you to you for sending in your WhatsApp questions this evening. I've got loads coming through. Do keep them coming in. I'll try and get through a few now. So we've got loads coming in for you, gents. This is ace, and some as well for you, Alex. So the first one I've got here is from Abnihav Mitra, who says, absolutely ecstatic that Foden is back in the starting 11 tonight. Although I would have also loved to have seen Haaland and Alvarez play up front together in a more attacking formation. 2 absolute beasts. What are your thoughts on that? I'll go to the striker of the panel.
Well, David played striker as well. Alvarez and Haaland up front. I think Pep's one of those that players play to his system. He tends not to change the 2 out wide, 1 up the middle, unless the game is really comfortable. Very seldom do we play 2 up top. But great players can play together. Alvarez will be full of confidence. He'll get himself into the swing of things. What I love what he brings is he brings this energy out of possession. This is a huge added value to us as a team, that we win the ball higher up, and whether he's directly involved in it, we end up creating chances, and it's actually another number 10. People just think of a number 10 as a player that can give through balls, but winning the ball in the final third essentially is like a number 10, and it may just be 1 pass or 2 passes, and a player's got an opportunity. So I love to see that. Brilliant question. Would love to see it. I'm sure we'll see it throughout the season.
And it's funny you should mention, of course, our other striker, David, because we've got a question specifically for Alex. Didi has asked you, Alex, were you ever brought out of goal in a game like David was? And did you ever fancy yourself in another position as a footballer?
Well, as I was coming into football at that professional level, I did fancy myself as a striker. I was quite fast, and it's quite easy. It's quite easy to sit the ball in the net.
Think that, yes.
Yeah. We don't think we can play goal, though.
But no, I don't think I ever actually came out, even last minute of a game. And I say to a lot of people, one of the reasons for that was I just tended to have a clean sheet at the back, so there wasn't really a need for me to.
That was your job, wasn't it?
I love that. Until drop
just kept them out the net. That was the easiest way.
Clean sheet.
All goalkeepers think they're strikers?
Yeah. Until you're given the opportunity to prove it.
Yeah.
Although we did play a 5-side the other day, we drew 14 all.
14 all?
Yeah, I only scored one.
Wow. Were you in net?
I only let in 2.
Love that. Thank you so much for your questions. Do keep them coming in. I'm going to try and get through some more because there's some really, really great ones. I want to get to this one about Haaland or Sergio Aguero a little bit later on as well. But of course, we are thrilled to have Alex in the studio with us today. And apart from being one of the cult heroes of Manchester City, he's also a club ambassador for City in the community. Now, we're going to have a good chat to Alex about that, about his incredible career and about his work as well. But first of all, let's take a little few minutes to just appreciate the incredible work that City in the community are currently doing.
City in the community moves with City youth to empower healthier lives through football.
But what does that mean for people like me?
Or me.
And us.
Yeah. It means engaging in programmes that keep me physically active.
As well as prioritising all our mental health.
It means letting City youth take the lead.
While inspiring people of all ages.
It means showing me how I can learn in different ways.
And showing me all the different ways I can teach.
It means creating real pathways for employment.
And real opportunities to make a difference. It means being given a level playing field.
And giving me the skills and knowledge I need to level up.
It's helping me see how we can bring the best out in our students.
So I can see my full potential.
It means helping me to build my own future.
And helping me to build theirs.
It's a place to meet people who I've had shared experiences with.
And a place to share new experiences.
It means having a safe space for playing football with me and my friends.
That's also a safe space to ask for help.
It means challenging myself to impact others.
And teaming up to become as impactful as possible.
It's about feeling confident in my own skin.
And feeling proud to wear the badge.
Healthy people.
Healthy futures.
Healthy communities.
It's healthier life through football. That's what City in the community means to us.
Oh, I just love that video. Absolutely love. So proud of the work that City in the community continue to do. And of course, we are joined in the studio by Alex Williams, who is our City in the Community ambassador, of course, MB as well, for his charitable work. And pretty much what most people see Alex as the face of City in the community is kind of what people think of City in the community. They tend to sort of think of you. The incredible work that City in the community do is just phenomenal. And I often think perhaps we don't really all completely understand the depth of the work that you do. Could you tell us a little bit about the kind of day-to-day work that City in the community are doing?
Yeah, we started way back in 1986, which for me coincided when I finished my playing career from my injury. So it was great to fall straight into that. You know, I'm a local lad, City fan as well, which is quite strange because I think not many professional footballers get an opportunity to play for the club they support as a boy. I mean, the things we do are so varied. You had a snippet there of some of the things. So we work with young 5 to 6 year olds, early years programme on fundamental movements and start to touch on diet, right through to you saw some of our senior citizens playing walking football. They're male and female. We don't discriminate. We've got a massive special education need programme as well. And we do everything you can think of in between. This Christmas, we had a number of campaigns working with local communities. We had a VIP and vets war veterans Christmas party. We had a football festival for over 150 kids where we had a couple of the players dropped in and said hello to them. And one of the things we did recently, we had a disability project in the gymnasium here at CFA, and Jack Grealish just dropped in by chance and he got chatting to all the kids, and one of them was a young lad called Findlay, and I don't know if you saw the England goal he scored.
I think we all saw,
he did
Alex.
the little celebration and they've struck up a great partnership, those two. Finlay, I think, has a bit of autism, and I think one of Jack Grealish's sisters also has a thing. So
cerebral palsy.
Cerebral palsy.
Yes.
So the two things, I think Jack just warmed to Finlay, and they've struck up a great partnership. So it's been great for us. And I think one of the exciting things as well, people go above and beyond to fundraise for CITC. There's a young football coach called Jamie Carr who works here at Manchester City. He's currently single-handedly sailing halfway across the Atlantic Ocean. So he's halfway across, single-handedly rowing across the Atlantic.
Has he made it halfway, or is he stopped?
He's just halfway. Yeah, he's
going the whole way, though.
He's going the whole way.
I thought
he's going to go. Yeah, he's going to go the whole way, but he's only halfway across at the moment. So that's tremendous. I mean, he's going to raise an awful lot of money for CITC, which then goes back into working with local young people.
We've had Jamie on the show, and of course you know him from your day-to-day job, Shaun.
Yes. Oh, yes. He's phenomenal. I mean, I said to him, if you ask anyone in the building who would actually attempt it, he's probably the only one that will attempt what he's doing.
It's amazing.
But I have so much respect for him because one, from raising the money, etc. But to attempt to row with no support, he's just there out in the ocean. And every now and again, I'm looking at little videos that he's sending. He's saying when he's having sort of down days and days when he's feeling pretty good. But he's just phenomenal stuff he's been doing.
Yeah, there is a link on the CITC website. If you go onto the club website and the CITC, there is a link if people want to just send him a message. So if anybody's watching this and they want to send him a message, please do, because I'm sure, he must be, he just needs that little pep up to get him the other half away across the Atlantic.
And keeping an eye on his journey through the City in the Community Instagram as well, which if you're not following, of course, you already should. But his journey is just incredible, and he's raising money for two charities. One of those, of course, is City in the Community. You were saying a little bit earlier, David, that part of the reason why you fell in love with this club was the City in the Community, was the charity work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my upbringing at Watford was very community-based. And my feeling about football clubs was always that it's not just about being a good team in your city, you have to represent your people. And I know, Alex, I mean, we've had this conversation before, but I occasionally do forget, has been there for so long. But when I first came to the club, I was asked to do an event at the stadium for Special Olympics. And I was like, yes, get me in there. I became an ambassador for Special Olympics on the back of it. And Kevin Keegan used to talk about the area and what the area needed, and just watching that is an amazing VT. I was very positively surprised by it, because if the local people in the community look at Man City more than just the team that win trophies, but actually they talk to people about how good they do for the people in the community, I think that's the job of a football club. Win trophies every day, of course, but if the people just look at the stadium and go, we're glad you're here, that's what you do. So Alex and your team.
Well, that's a really massive point, that, David, because, if you say to somebody, Manchester City Football Club, their first thoughts, unfortunately, will be they're a rich football club. It's important for us to be seen to giving back to local people. Yes, we've got a fantastic team, manager, infrastructure, even the hierarchy, our board of directors here at the football club, the owner, Sheikh Mansour, they're fully behind all the community stuff, not just here in Manchester, but we fund initiatives around the world as well, predominantly where we've got other football clubs, which I think we're up to about 10, 11 sort of sister football clubs that are with and associated with Manchester City. So we're all very proud of what we do.
Fantastic.
Young leaders all around the world. Absolutely. We're so proud of City in the Community. Completely agreed, David. So thank you so much, Alex, for coming in and telling us a little bit about it. I know you're a very humble man, so I don't want to embarrass you too much now, but I would like to talk about your career. If we can move on to that now. So early 80s, when you first got into the starting 11 at City, taking the number one spot from the great Joe Corrigan. I can't even imagine, as a Manchester City fan, what it must have been like to come in and you are the keeper after Joe Corrigan.
Yeah, it was massive, really, because Joe still is a club legend. I was just a local lad from Moss Side, where the old Main Road Stadium was, and also the first modern-day black goalkeeper to play top-flight football. So I had everything on my shoulders, and luckily, I must have a massive say to all the City fans throughout the years. They've been brilliant, supporting me, not just as a player, but through the work with CITC, and I'd like to just say a big thank you to them as well.
That I love. We were saying earlier on how nice your shirt was back then. That is a nice keeper's shirt, by the way.
It is.
Love that.
It's fitted. My jersey, I remember being all bangy. Hey, well, I got to ask you here. I mean, you're making some brilliant saves.
Yeah.
I don't see you have a good your defence at all.
No,
I mate right there. He would have been barking at his defence.
I didn't have time in those days because we had such a mediocre team. We were always under pressure, so I didn't have time to tell the players off. But that particular game was the year after the Rickeveer Cup final where Tottenham beat us in the replay, and I actually played the league game at Tottenham and we beat them 2-1. So, I always think to myself, I wonder if John Bond would have picked me for the cup final if the score would have been different.
I remember that cup final.
Yeah, but no, they were great days, and I still associate with a lot of the players from that. Joe Corrigan, Tommy Booth. On a match day, we all go around the various rooms and say hello. And again, it's a big thank you to Manchester City Football Club for still keeping that heritage going and keeping us as part of the football club as it goes on its journey.
I think we're so wonderful at that, I think. And, this programme is a wonderful example of that. The
Absolutely.
former players and legends that we have on our show constantly. We never forget where we came from. Never forget where we came from. For me, it makes this time even more enjoyable than it already is. So thank you so much, again, Alex, for the incredible work that you do. So, of course, we are now only about 25 minutes away from tonight's 8 p.m. kickoff against Chelsea in the Premier League. And there have been some really phenomenal fixtures against Chelsea in recent years. Now, Pep's record is played 12, won 7 and lost 5 Premier League games against Chelsea. And, of course, many of these games have been real sort of pivotal moments in the title, both for us and, of course, for Chelsea as well. So we've picked out some of the key battles, some of the key games from the last few years, and we're going to have a look at some of those goals. So we're going to start with when we won at home, 1-0, and we're going to have a look at a goal by Gabriel Jesus. This is 2021. Of course, this wasn't that long ago, so I remember it straight off. This is at Stamford Bridge. Gabriel Jesus slotting it in the celebrations. I remember you having that one, David?
Yeah, because this was when Mendy had, I think, just joined the club, hadn't he? And Mendy was in inspirational form. And if I remember right, there's nutmegs in this.
Is there a nutmeg in it?
In the shot, kind of, yeah. And it was kind of like, well, that was the only one of those things. Because Mendy was like difficult to beat. I think it was clean sheets pretty much every week, and it needed a scrappy kind of finish to get past him. So a big goal, yeah. Yeah,
I loved the way he swiveled on that. He sort of moves it to his right, shifts it to his left, and at that point, when you're forward, you understand sometimes defenders can get blocks, and when they are able to block, you then could hit it through the legs to actually find the corner. And it looks as though he's going for that. It's taking a low deflection, but it's a brilliant goal by Jesus. Yeah.
1-0. Love that. 1-0 victory for City in that game at Stamford Bridge. And another 1-0 victory to have a look at is Kevin De Bruyne. You absolutely love this goal. Voted the best goal of 2022 on Matchday Live on Saturday. David, you were on Matchday Live on Saturday.
And so someone voted for this goal.
Did you?
He's just rubbing it in because I had it at second. That's what.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I had it at second.
Okay. I mean, Alex, it's a pretty special goal. Another one for Kevin De Bruyne to add to his special goal list.
He scores so many of them, and he seems to have so much time. He doesn't seem to rush, and when he strikes the ball, it's just amazing, right in the corner.
I love that camera angle as well. We get the sun in the background and the full goal there. And
you know what? Now, having seen it in slow motion, I don't know what I was thinking. I could see why it was voted number one now. Seeing that slow motion.
That was so last year.
What a strike. We'll do it for another one of them tonight, De Bruyne.
I love it, Shaun. You always have to be on the winning team, Shaun. I love that. Always seeing Kevin De Bruyne training there. Now, what a lovely training top that is as well, by the way. We do some lovely... I've not seen that before, by the way.
I wanted to say when they were walking out, but I thought if I do that, then someone's going to say they've been wearing it for the last year or two.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Ooh, that's nice.
Okay, we are fans of that new training top, the Kevin De Bruyne warming up there. Kevin is, of course, in the starting 11 for tonight's game. Right, we're going to have a look at another game which City didn't win, but was a very memorable game. I'm going to take you back to 2016, and I'm sure you immediately know the game that I'm talking about. It was a huge victory for Chelsea, a 3-1 victory, which put Antonio Conte's men on course for the title that year. It was a game in which Sergio Aguero and Fernandinho were both sent off. It was a tasty game. Does anybody instantly remember it?
Not off the top of my head. Not off the top of my head.
It was the sending offs for me. As soon as I think about Chelsea, I think about this game back then and the sending offs. 3 goals. So that was a Tim Cahill own goal, which was a pretty decent own goal, by the way, nice, yeah. David. And then Diego Costa, one of our old foes, pops up. Well, is always ever present, and he scored this one.
That's a finish. That's a good finish. He's brought it back. Yeah. The momentum of the defenders going that way. There
was pace on it for the keeper. He's done him near post, but there's pace on the ball.
Is that Bravo in goal?
It is Bravo in goal, and it is World Cup winner Otamendi, who is the one-on-one with him.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why are we showing these anyway?
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure,
what's going on here?
It's a handball.
Actually, I just wanted to see the sending off.
It's a handball.
Funny. So the next one was Brazil's Willian scoring. Is Bravo a little bit at fault to here again, do you think, David?
Pass that one to Alex. Okay. Do you know what? The game's coming back to me, but yeah, I know it's difficult. I mean, you're talking about top quality strikers. Not blaming the goalie on that one.
Okay, I love that. Goalkeepers union, right. Let's move now to let's move again to a City victory. So that was 2016, and of course take you now to 2018. A goal and a victory which put us on course for 100 points in Pep's first title-winning season. So, Bernardo Silva. A joy, everybody.
Yes, let's hope he's coming in on that right flank again. Far post, nicely tap in. But he knows where to be. He knows that if he comes in on that back post, there's a chance he can get something. Nice little finish there.
Was that Zaba crossing?
Oh, good question.
I think it was. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Oh no, it's David Silva. David Silva. Sorry, forgive me.
Silva to Silva.
Yeah.
See, that's Bernardo on the right-hand side.
Okay, as these two would like to see this evening. So we've had some incredible games against Chelsea, and let's hope we're adding another win to our list tonight. Now, if you do want an in-depth, really exciting look into behind the scenes of the City's men's team, we have our incredible Together documentary. It is now available for free on YouTube. I've watched the full thing when it first came out on City Plus. If you haven't seen it yet, it is a genuine joy. You have to. Some of the behind-the-scenes insights that we get are just incredible. And I can give you a little sneak tidbit that we are currently filming Together 3, so you can look forward to that next season. But in the meantime, let's have a look at some of the Together documentary from last season.
I felt like it helped us in a way for the season, because we was playing against such great opposition that it just got us ready and in form.
Is there any hangover, any score to be settled from the Champions League final?
I don't think so. You know, that's in the past. You know, we don't look at what happened before. You know, we don't look either that we won the league last year. We want to win it this year.
We face a strong team. Tough opponent who was won 3 games in the last season against us. We go there and prove for ourselves so we can do it.
Bruyne for Cancelo, who's made a couple of yards, dragged his shot. Jesus turning and scoring! Champions of Europe 0, champions of England 1.
We can play good, you know. We played so good. We prove ourselves. We can do every game like this.
Move it, Bernie. Come on.
Io freno.
Don't forget, you are football players for this moment. Enjoy.
I love the behind the scenes that we get. So that is some of the clips from Together to Champions Again. You can get that for free now on YouTube. Of course, you can still get it on Recast and City Plus as well, but it's now available for free on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, you have to go on and watch it. It's absolutely phenomenal. Now, thank you again for sending in your WhatsApp questions. I'm going to try and get through some now because we have about 15 minutes now until kickoff. Now, I teased this a little bit earlier, but we had a question from David MCFC, and he said, I love this question. If you could have Haaland or Aguero in their prime to play in this squad, who would you choose? And also, can we say congratulations to my nephew Matthew for winning Player of the Month for his under-17? Congratulations, Matthew.
Congratulations, Matthew, yeah.
Well done.
OK, so I'll go, we'll do everybody. Shaun, you as the striker, you go first. Haaland or Aguero now in this team?
I will have Aguero because I know what he's done for the duration of his time. Haaland has been exceptional, and I believe he'll be able to continue doing it. But at this moment, it's one season. He's in his first season, scoring 20, 21 goals. He's scoring more goals than I'm able to keep adding, quicker than I'm able to add. I would go Aguero just because I know he's done it for a whole decade.
Love that. Alex?
I think it's a really tough question. I think if you'd have asked the question in 18 months' time, we could give a more genuine answer. I would probably go for Aguero only because, you know, the amount of times it was over 10 years, the goals he scored. I think Haaland will surpass that, but, you know, until we give it another 18 months, we won't know. So right now, if I had to pick one, it would be Aguero, but Haaland, I think, will be capable of going past that.
Yes, David?
Well, I'm going to take the question literally.
Okay.
In their prime. So we know what Aguero did. Haaland is scoring loads of goals and not reached his prime, which means he's going to get better. But Matthew is 7 and already Player of the Month. So we might be having to have Matthew in this starting lineup at his prime.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Matthew, David's popping you in.
Matthew's one.
Yes,
sorry,
well done, Matthew.
Sorry, Haaland and Aguero, but Matthew's the guy we need up top.
I love that. OK, we've got a question from Dazman. He says, if we needed to strengthen the team, who should we look to bring in during this January transfer window? And he's gone to follow up saying youth or seasoned options.
Yeah, David.
Are you on about seasoned options? Okay. After my 14 all 5 aside, you're thinking I'm ready. You know what I think about the Man City squad? I never think that it needs refreshing. I think you've got the best manager with the best squad. If you look at the Premier League and the success over 5 years, last 5 seasons, then there's no need to necessarily bring anyone in to make an impact. Injury-wise, I think the squad looks right. I can't think of any major injuries. Why spend the money when you don't need to?
Yes. Very well answered.
I would
Sean Goater?
I would totally agree. I don't think it's... I think bringing... I think this squad... When we look at the squad throughout the end of the season, players get somewhere between 30, 38 games. So there's enough game time for every player. And when I look at our squad and I think, well, where is there a need for a player? I don't see an area where we need it. So I would say, for me, I don't think we need anyone. And as David said, you know, we've got the best manager with the best squad, and I think we'll, you know, do well throughout the season, get the trophies, and continue being City.
So we don't need anyone is the kind of opinion from David and Shaun. Alex, do you agree?
I would agree to a certain extent, but I think one of the things Pep and his coaching staff like to do is ensure there's somebody coming through the system who can replace whatever player in various positions. And I think we've probably got that at the moment. I think I would agree with the two lads. I don't think we need any players as such. However, I think the most important component, though the young man did ask for a player, is the manager. You know, and I think he's the most important cog in the whole thing. If he stays, then he'll make the best of whatever players are here.
Of that. We, of course, had Pep on Matchday Live a couple of weeks ago, and we congratulated him on his new contract, which, yes, Alex, we're also very, very thrilled about. So thank you again for your WhatsApp questions. I'll try and get through some more at half-time and at full-time as well. So just a little recap. If you haven't seen the starting 11 for tonight's game as of yet, of course, the pictures are on your screen now. Your starting 11, 4 changes from the team that drew with Everton. And it is Ederson, Cancelo, Walker, Stones, Ake, Rodri, Gundogan, De Bruyne, Silva, Foden and Haaland. That is your starting 11 for City for this evening's Premier League game against Chelsea, which is about 10 minutes away. And, of course, you can get your commentary for tonight's game on the City app. Get that downloaded nice and quickly if you haven't already. The best exclusive commentary from Alistair Mann and Michael Brown. The only place to get your commentary, honestly. It is wonderful. So, not too far away from kick-off now, gents. Has the last kind of hour changed your thoughts on the game at all, Shaun? Or what's your kind of feelings? How's the game going to go?
Well, it's going to be a tough one. Just as we were talking about the history of the games we've had against them, they've all been very close. And I came in here and I was thinking, you know what, I think we'll be bouncing back with a nice 3-0. But we've always had really tough games against Chelsea. So I'm thinking more around. I know you're not asking me that right now, so I'll hold off. I think it's gonna be a good performance by us. It's going to be a close game. Intrigued to see how Walker deals with Sterling because they know each other. Walker will be. He played against Mbappe and done a superb job for England. So I think he'll be looking to this game to be the same and try to keep Sterling quiet. So really looking forward to that battle.
Very smooth there. I'll come to your prediction in just a minute. Yes. Shaun, you've been on this show before, haven't you? Alex, how are you feeling? How do you think the game's going to go?
I think with the changes we've got tonight, is it 4 changes we've got in the team? I think they'll inspire the rest of the players, and I think they'll need to prove a point to Pep. They want to get in the team and stay there. And I personally think we will come out comfortable winners.
I knew that was the most positive, optimistic couch we could have possibly
Somebody more positive
done.
than me.
Yes, Shaun, you might have found your match
I'm telling
at
you.
last, yes.
Well, Shaun.
David, how are you feeling ahead of the game?
Yeah, obviously with the Chelsea with 2 changes, Kovacic, it's Chelsea. They're full of talent. Kovacic will be a problem. It could be a problem. As long as you keep Kovacic quiet, I'm not so worried about the attacking lineup or their defence. But Phil Foden's playing. Phil scores goals. That's it. I'm not giving you my prediction, but Phil scores goals.
OK, right, Shaun. You've kept us in suspense. What is this prediction?
I'm going 2-0 City. I'm feeling good. I think the clean sheet is really important for us because I think that allows us the base to go on and put, a great run together. Because if we got that base of a clean sheet, we know we score goals. I think we score something like 3 goals, average 3 goals a game. So I'll take 2-0, and then we got that real solid base to go from as well.
Shaun, I'm absolutely and utterly desperate for us to keep a clean sheet tonight.
Yeah.
Want a clean sheet this evening, please. Alex, what is your prediction?
Hopefully there'll be goals for City, and I think Sterling will have a point to prove tonight. So I was going to go 2-0, but as Shaun said that, I'll go 3-1.
OK.
Yeah, 3-1.
And ruin my clean sheet, Alex.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know. Edison's not going to be too happy with me, but he'll get plenty more after tonight if he does concede.
And I'll take that 3 points. I'm not going to argue. David?
I think I'm going to go 2-0.
OK.
John Stones from a corner.
You've really fancying John Stones.
Yeah, no, I just fancy John Stones over Nathan Ake from a corner.
Wow, that's a big call.
And I think Phil Foden. I'm not even worried if Haaland doesn't score, as long as City win 2-0.
It's a bold prediction. Lovely. David, thank you so much. Alex, thank you. Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed that. And Shaun, thank you so much. And thank you, as always, for joining us on Matchday Live. We will all be back immediately at half-time to give you our thoughts on the first 45 minutes. And, of course, we'll be back at full-time where hopefully we will be discussing 3 points for Manchester City starting 2023 in the ideal way. Now, don't forget, now you want the City app. If you're not currently watching us on the City app, that's where you're going to get your full match commentary from the wonderful Alistair Mann and Michael Brown. So 4 changes in the team that drew against Everton on Saturday. Hopefully City can begin the year in a wonderful, wonderful way. I'd like a clean sheet, but after all, 3 points is all that matters. Right, we're going to head over now to Alistair Mann. Enjoy your commentary, and we'll be back here with you at half-time.
Well, a very warm welcome from Stamford Bridge. The two teams are inside the fairly narrow tunnel at the famous Old Ground in West London. Ilkay Gundogan at the front of the City queue, ready to lead out the Blues. Azpilicueta, the Chelsea captain, in front of their line of players out on the pitch. There are flags being waved, the lights coming on and off. A lot of teams mimicked what City do on a match day at the Etihad Stadium to create that little bit of extra atmosphere. And we're just waiting the signal for the two sets of players to leave the tunnel and make their way out. Well, when you're the defending champions,